Good morning. This has nothing to do with my presentation. It's just really, really cool. So I told him before, I said, you know, let's just pay me in this stuff because my 9-year-old son would love it. He'd be like, Dad, can I play with that? No, just a minute. I just want to make sure it works. No, Dad, can I? No, this is real. Yes, it would be all for me. This stuff is awesome. All right, I gotta make sure I turn that off. Good morning, happy to be here. For the next 60 minutes, I want to talk to you maybe 60, 70 minutes. I want to talk to you about your business. I want to talk about marketing. I realize as I see everybody in, I saw some people at breakfast, that I am vastly overdressed. Even without a tie, kind of a city slicker. I'm not. I would be in flip-flops and jeans and everything in a minute. So don't have that place in your mind that says, this guy, whatever, but I'm the speaker. Don't I look like the world's most interesting man? You know those commercials? Stay thirsty, my friend. All right, I'm going to tell you a quick story to start off. My wife told me recently about a very, very vivid dream that she had. Absolutely true story. And she's telling me about this dream. And in the dream, she was with our son Spencer. And they're actually flying in here in a couple hours. We're going to spend some time together. We call him Bubba. He just turned 9, and he's big, hulky, squishy bundle of all-boy love, and it's just phenomenal. And she's in his room, and he's a big sports fan. We're from Denver, Colorado, so they're putting stuff on the wall, and the big Tim Tebow thing on the wall, which now we're putting the big Peyton Manning. Stay with me for a second. Let's process that. Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos. And they're decorating things, and he's handing her stuff, and they're putting stuff on the wall in this dream. And then she turns and looks at him, and all of a sudden she can't find him. And she tells me she's like rushing around his room, and she doesn't know where he is, and she's calling his name. And then all of a sudden she hears like this low growling sound from the closet. And she's walking towards, you ever have those dreams, you're walking towards that door, and she hears this growling. All of a sudden she hears a scream, and it's Spencer. And she runs over and she opens the door, and there's this pit bull attacking him and biting him on the shoulder, and she's frantic, and he's screaming, and she doesn't know what to do, and she's trying to find a stick or something to try and get the dog off. And finally, seeing nothing, she rears her leg back, and she kicks this dog. She kicks this dog so hard that she actually woke herself up. And she's sitting in bed, and she's just breathing hard, and she can't catch her breath, and she turns to tell me about this dream that she had. And I'm not there. And as I laid on the floor, kind of in the fetal position, I remember looking up, and I saw the clock radio, and it said 3:32 in the morning. And then I see her head poke over the top of the bed and look down at me. And she just kept saying the same things over and over again. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And after about 10 minutes, I recovered enough to crawl back on the bed. And I'm laying there, and I'm just staring into the blackness. And what she told me was her favorite part of this very true story was the only 4 words I said that entire night. I just looked up into the darkness, and I said rather matter-of-factly, well, that was unexpected. I want to talk to you today about the power of the unexpected, about the power of how do you stand out in a marketplace with so many choices. Everybody's good. What do we do that's a little bit different? What do we do with something that catches our eye? When you drive down the street and you go the same way every day, you stop noticing, don't you? And you notice finally when some business says, oh, did you notice so-and-so's out of business? Or they repaint their building or something else. What does it take to stand out and be noticed? What does it take to do something a little bit different? Not to be dismissible, but to be remarkable in our business. I want to talk to you about marketing and branding. I get this all the time. What is this new brand thing that we hear? We always hear about, forever it was marketing and advertising and maybe PR if you're going to get some news media coverage. Of course, the importance of your logo and your tagline. I know you're working with corporate, with your partners at Books Are Fun, but you have your own business. So you've got sort of the co-branding, the store out there with a lot of the t-shirts. But what are you doing for yourself? How well are you known? What's this new branding thing that everybody's talking about? Well, here's the reality. Nothing new at all. What goes into making a marketable, memorable brand identity was as true 100 years ago as it will be 100 years from now. It's just a catch-all term for all of those things. If you think about the origins of the term itself, instead of that branding iron searing that image into the backside of livestock, the idea of branding as a discipline is about searing that image into your brain. What do people think of when they think of you? That is your brand. If I was to say Walmart, if I was to say Apple, if I was to say Jerry Sandusky, something comes to your mind. It's not always positive because you don't actually own your brand. Your brand lives in the minds of the people who know about you. Personal branding, organizational branding, the process and the marketing and the PR and the things that we can do, and we're going to talk about this morning, are the things that help others think about you the way you want to be thought of and to help you be thought of so that you're in their consciousness, so that you're at least an option for those who are looking to buy. For those who you have relationships with, there is a brand in their mind. It may be a very positive one. It may be whatever. That's the person who shows up every 6 weeks. Depending on the things you do that contribute to that. Every experience you have, every time you've rocked the house, and every time you've fallen short or screwed up, contribute to how they think of you. And we have no control over that, but we have great influence. I want to talk today about the things you can do to influence how people think about you, when they think about you, and do they think about you strongly enough to get them to want to buy from you. That makes sense? So, when I think of your brand, I sort of think of a 360-degree view. Imagine you have this floating ball in front of your face. I won't make you close your eyes. I won't make you talk to your neighbor and discuss for... Well, let's do this for a second. Why don't we take the next 30 seconds? Everybody find a partner, and I want you to discuss with your partner how much you hate it when speakers ask you to find partners and discuss things. God, I hate that. I just got back literally last night. I spent the weekend at the conference for the National Speakers Association. It's like 3,000 extroverts in a room. Not politically correct. All chiefs, no Indians. Everybody talks, nobody listens. My wife hates it. She will not go. She's like, I'll do my impression of people who are professional speakers. So anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me? She hates it. And these are the things, I go to these conferences, I know I'm way off subject here, but I go to all these meetings and they tell you how to do the audience interaction kind of stuff. We're not going to make you do it. I am going to teach you how to do, we're going to walk out of here and do a little bit of work. I want you to walk out with something very, very tangible. Yeah, we're going to laugh a little bit, but this is your business. We're going to work hard, and I'm going to give you some exercises for you to do back at your office as well. Imagine you have a floating ball in front of your face. That's your brand today. Different for all of you. Kind of do the same things, different markets, different demographics, different personalities that you bring to this, different work ethics. Let's just be honest. Much more aggressive. Some people, this is a nice coast kind of a thing. We're going to try and help everybody raise their game. This is a self-selecting audience. You didn't have to be here. You chose to be here, so we're here to get better. Imagine this ball in front of your face. That's your brand. Walk around it. How much do you make? How many clients do you have? How well known are you? What are you known for? It is what it is. Everything you've done to this Tuesday morning has contributed to where you are. What I want to talk about is, what do you aspire to? What do you want to be 18 months from now, 2 years from now? We want to be the best in the business at blank. We want to be the recognized authority of Y. We want to be the first call when they're experiencing Z, whatever that is. What's missing in that gap? What can we do tangibly as we go back to our businesses after this great conference, great team building, enhanced knowledge, but what can we tangibly do to build our business? Because we're here to build our business. That's what we're going to talk about today. Get this word. All right, I got good news and bad news. First, the good news. The good news is there's a lot of ways to do this right. I've heard speakers get up in front and say, unless you do X and Y, you will fail. No, you'll do fine. We're not here to be fine. Some things you'll agree with. I would tell you, I don't work for this company. I'm loving that I'm going to be here for the next few days, so if there's certain things that I say that aren't quite applicable, forgive me for that, because I'm not immersed in your company on a daily basis. The good news is there's a lot of ways to do this right, to stand out, to stand apart, to be liked. My friends, life is like high school. As much as you hoped it wouldn't be when you left. We do business with people we like. And given the choice, I'm going to work with people who are nice. I'll tell you a few stories about that a little bit later on. A lot of ways to do it right. You know the only way to really do this wrong? A couple of ways. One is just to blend in and be nothing special. Then you're just another choice, nothing special. Or to underperform. For the purposes of today's presentation, I'm going to assume that you're all really good at what you do and you really care about what you do. Because no amount of marketing is going to make up for that kind of underperformance. That's beyond what I'm going to talk about. Good news, a lot of ways to do this right. Here's the bad news. The bad news is everybody's good. Look around. Everybody's good. Everybody in here is good. Everybody in your market where you are is good. 50 years ago, we could compete on quality. We could claim our great quality and our great customer service. Everybody's good. You ever heard that line? I love this one that says, what do you call the person who graduated dead last in their medical school graduating class? Doctor is right. Right? They're all doctors. They all passed the test. You all know what you're doing. Your competitors know what they're doing. Whether they do exactly what you do or they just are another option for your clients from a revenue generation perspective or other things as sort of a perk for their employees at the school or wherever else. They've got lots of choices. And you know darn well they're bombarded on a daily basis. Bombarded. People trying to sell them everything. People trying to get in and have access to their staff or their students every day. Everybody's good. So instead of making the case why we're good, we're a good choice, they're going to like us, we provide great customer service, we will tailor our processes to meet your individual needs, what we forget is our competitors, whether they do what we do or something else, are having that exact same conversation with them. And they're also really good, and they also really care, and they're going to provide great customer service. Here's the worst part. Your competitors, by and large, are really nice people. Doesn't that suck? Wouldn't it be great if everybody else was kind of a, I won't use bad words, jerk? That's a better one. I can do that. It'd be great if everybody else was a jerk, then we would be an obvious choice. They'd want to work with us. They'd want to buy from us. But everybody's good. They love their children. They're not kicking puppies. So instead of making the case that we're a good choice, why are we a better choice? What can we do that we could make ourselves impossible to ignore? That no matter what else they do with their business or their day or their staff, they got to at least do us. Because it works for them every time. And the relationship works for them every time. Not give them any excuses to not. I'm going to tell you a very quick story, and this is an absolutely true one. They're all actually true. But I get speakers all the time say, yesterday I was getting on a plane. No, it wasn't. It was some story, whether it happened or not. It certainly wasn't yesterday. This was yesterday. This was me leaving my hotel in Indianapolis yesterday afternoon at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock flight to come here. I waited for the last possible minute because I'm with the people who I love and really get me and my fellow speakers and others. And I walk out of the hotel, and the bellman has my bags because it was in storage. And there was a long line of taxi cabs. And as I walk up to the front one, I have no idea what was in this guy was having a bad day or something. And I'm one of those guys. I love to talk to staff and the housekeepers and the limo or and the taxi driver or anything else and just find out their story. I'm just a gregarious guy. And I walked over and I said, he gets out of the cab and I said, good afternoon. Doesn't say a thing to me. Opens the hatch and gets back in the car. And I'm like, oh, and I lean in the window. I said, I want to make sure you take credit cards. Doesn't respond to me. And I said, just want to make sure you take credit cards before you go in. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, really? Take my bags out of the back. And I tell the bellman, he flies out of the car. What is going on? I said, listen, you had an opportunity to treat me like a human being and respond to me when I said hi, and you chose not to when I gave you 3 chances. I would have treated you great. I would have tipped you great. You lost my business because you assumed you had it. Sorry, I'm kind of worked up. This was literally yesterday. I was so ticked off. And the bellman like, we don't blame you. So the other guy opens up his door, the next cab back. I said, good afternoon. He says, good afternoon, sir. How are you? I said, great. He drives me to the airport, had a great conversation, tipped him well. He made an assumption that he had my business because he was next in line. Do you ever wonder sometimes? Do you ever think, oh, I'm back here every 6 weeks. They're good. They like me. We're good. Not that you're being hostile or doing things to lose the business, but do we take it for granted? Those relationships, how are you known? That is your brand. The bad news is everybody's good and somebody's waiting in line to take that spot next to the Coke machine in the teacher's lounge. So how do you do it? How do you build that marketable, memorable brand identity? Well, because I'm a speaker, it's a speaker thing, I have 3 points. Point number one, most of our time, I believe you have to be remarkable. My colleague Seth Godin wrote a great book called Purple Cow, and he makes the case that a purple cow is remarkable. In other words, it's worthy of being remarked about. It doesn't mean that you have to have something extraordinary or some new cool proprietary technology, new smartphone, something that you're selling in the market. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, granted, this Star Wars thing is really cool. But remarkable just means, what are you doing that would make somebody remark or talk about you? And it can be anything. It can be a cool technology. It can also be a very warm and gregarious persona. It can be a nice personality, in other words. It means great service. It means you always do it. You say what you'll do and you do what you say. In a marketplace where too many don't. What are you doing that with somebody? Here's another way to put it. If you're writing things down, this is a good one. I like this one. To what question are you the answer? Just think about it for a second. Let's put it this way. What question would elicit your name as the response? As the best choice? You know, we're really struggling with blank. Someone says, you ever had those guys from Books Are Fun? They just come in, they drop off, they got cool stuff, it's always new. Our employees totally look forward to it. And it doesn't feel like we're being sold, or whatever that is. To what question would elicit your name as the response as the best choice? Not just another choice, but the best choice. What are you doing to be remarkable? All right, a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to whip through some of these. Some are just kind of fun. Because there's a lot of ways to do this right. Let me ask you this. Can a brand have a smell? Right? Look at the smiles. Is this not why we had children? So we could play with this stuff again? You know what it smells like? It smells like childhood. Now, I speak sometimes, and I do a lot of keynote speeches all over the world, and sometimes I have very young audiences, and they're like, what? Where do you plug it in? Where do the batteries go? You don't get it. Until you've spent a rainy night doing Light Bright, you don't understand this world. But smells. It's like when you walk by like Cinnabon. Women, this is an aphrodisiac for us. It's not Chanel and Loren, it's bacon. Feeling a little frisky. You ever walk by, no, I'm telling you, this works though. You ever walk by somebody in a store, in a mall, or a restaurant who's wearing the cologne or the perfume, somebody you dated when you were a teenager, right? And those memories come flooding back, only the good ones. There's a reason why you broke up with them, but you smell that stuff. All right, how many photographers do you think there are in the world? Tens of thousands, 100,000 professional photographers. All right, name 5. Go ahead, shout them out. Ansel Adams, always number 1. Who? Yes, that one. Annie Leibovitz, right? Ann Geddes. I've done huge audiences. They'll start naming obscure ones in there, and I'm like, yes, you are avant-garde. I don't know who that is. Ann Geddes put the baby in the flower pot. Remember that? And the little angel wings and pea pods, and it's just so cute and so doing what other people are doing, but doing it in your own unique way. Making a name for yourself, doing something a little bit unexpected. It's not about being outrageous. You can be known for being outrageous. I used to tell audiences all the time, because I've had great success in getting clients on TV and the Today Show and Oprah and things like that. And I say, who wants to be on TV today? I'll guarantee you'll get on TV, right? Hands go up. It's good. Take off your clothes and hang from the overpass. You'll make it on TV. It's not about being ridiculous and dismissible. That's easy. That's Jerry Springer. That's Maury Povich. I tell my wife all the time, because our oldest daughter, when she was born, looked nothing like my wife. Dark hair, so dark. I mean, my wife's very blonde and everything else. Everybody's like, oh, she's so beautiful. Is she yours? My wife's like, I'm like, we're going to put her on Maury Povich. Debbie, you are not the mother. Doing something that everybody else is doing, but doing it in kind of a different way. It's what Jim Henson did with the Muppets, right? Forever before them, they were the hard-headed Punch and Judy, right? He made them soft and squishy and fuzzy. They're not marionettes, they're not puppets, they're Muppets. Very different. What other people are doing in a unique way. Who else does Muppets, by the way? That would be nobody. Exactly right. Nobody else could because they're not. They were Jim Henson's. Now they're owned by Disney, but it's something different. It's what Michael Jackson did with the moonwalk. Yeah, he was a wicked, talented kid. I mean, off the charts. Very few of them make the transition to adulthood. It wasn't that he was a great dancer. It was that he did dance moves that no one else had ever done. Did you do this? Did you stand in front of the mirror trying to make yourself... My calves were never strong enough to... Did you also notice how I made him go backwards like he's moonwalking? This is the extent of my PowerPoint skills. I thought that was... My teenage daughters were like, oh my God, Dad, you were so lame. I'm like, no, look, he's moonwalking. That's as good as it gets here, folks. Right? The safest car in the world, undisputed, is Volvo. Here's a question. I mean, they own safety in your mind. Is Volvo safer than Lexus? Is it safer than BMW? I have no idea. It doesn't matter. They own it. What do you own as the best choice for something for your clients? Customer service is owned by Nordstrom. I'm in Denver, and people used to literally, before we got Nordstrom, and the angels sang and the clouds parted, and they would charter a flight and literally fly to Seattle so they could shop at Nordstrom. And this wonderful experience. They built their reputation on service, right? What are you guys known for? What do you do that's different when people say books are fun for those who know who you are within your space? It's unique. It's something different. It's not the Scholastic. It's not the fundraiser. It's not for the kids and for the parents. It's for the staff. A little bit different on the business side, but you do something unique. How do they know? Do they know all those things, or do we sometimes forget that we're just the people who deliver and set up every 6 weeks, and Marge is our contact? Marge isn't always going to be there. Who's coming in next? Who wants to shake things up and put their own stamp on things? Don't we hate that? We've got to maintain and build those relationships. There's got to be enough cry from within the organization. It doesn't matter who changes in that job. The people want you, and the people like you, and the people respect you, and they know you. I was talking to somebody else in the audience earlier here, and they said, she didn't even have a name. Her name is She. Do you ever get that? When's she coming back? When is she coming with those books? She said, I don't even care if they know my name, because I'm the one, but they know her, and she's there on a regular basis. What are you known for? It's that instant recognition. I saw somewhere on a list from someone who makes lists that this is the most recognized public building in the world. Some of you may not even recognize. It's the Sydney Opera House, right, in Australia. It was a competition. It could have been anything, but they did something unique. And it became the most recognizable. I'm from Denver, Colorado. If you've ever flown into Denver, we have a multi-billion-dollar airport with a tent roof. And you think there was a little bit of controversy at the time, but it became very recognizable. You think all the monuments. I've had the great fortune of speaking all over the world. It's a true blessing. My mom passed away a couple of years ago, 69 years old, very unexpected. Such a tragedy to lose her. One of the greatest tragedies was she went her entire life and never had a passport. And she always wanted. And me, one generation later, in the last 2 years, I've spoken to audiences in Singapore and Bangkok and Melbourne and Sydney and London and Buenos Aires. I know it sounds like geographic name dropping, but I am so humble. I am so grateful for the things that we get to do. And I was recently in, has anybody ever been to Australia? The Sydney Opera House is amazing, little teeny tiles. I'm speaking for the Australian financial advisors. And I'm having breakfast with them the next morning. And I don't know if anybody's ever had Vegemite. In England, it's Marmite. You remember that old song that smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich, right? Who's had that before? Let me see hands. Who's had Vegemite? All right, for those, can I ask you, it's kind of a leading question. Is it the most vile, disgusting thing you've ever had in your life? Right? I mean, not even putrid. I can understand somebody trying it once, but trying it a second time, I don't understand. And so, of course, I'm a marketing guy. We always joke as speakers, we don't have bad things happen to us, like getting kicked out of bed in the middle of the night. We just get new stories. So I'm in there speaking for this group that morning, having breakfast with all these guys, and they're like, oh, no, it's just like jam, but you can barely taste it. You got to put a lot. Mess with stupid American boy, right? And I'm like a 5-year-old, and I'm literally scraping my tongue to try and get, and I'm a marketing guy, so I'm like, how would you possibly sell this? How could you possibly? What could you do that would make somebody think in some way, how could you possibly? I don't know. It's a mystery. So, here's the question for you. So many choices. We can never forget that our customers, our prospects, always have choices, even if the choice is not to buy at all. They don't have to have us, do they? We're not a commodity. You know who did just fine during the recent economic downturn? Toilet paper. Anybody cut down? Anybody? If you ever wonder when they talk, what's a commodity? That's a commodity. Eggs and milk and, there's ways to cut back. Government cheese or whatever else. I don't know. You're not a commodity. You're not a must-have. You're not a have-to. You're a get-to. Right? So how do you get them to want something they don't need? We always talk in marketing, it's all about filling needs. You know what? Everybody can do it. You can always put something back to a need. Even if your need is for a 50-inch plasma TV. I need one of those. Right? In your mind, if you can create that need, what category can you own? What can you be the best at? And it doesn't mean you're number one in your space. It just means you're the best choice for something else. Here's a question for you, specific for your industry. What do your customers, your clients, the ones you've worked with for some time, when they hear the name, when they hear your name, maybe it's Books Are Fun, maybe it's you personally, what are they thinking? Are we recognizing, and I know, listen, for the most part, I know you do, I know you know your business. I don't want to patronize you for a minute. Sometimes it's a reminder to remember that our best customers need to feel the love sometimes. Remind them how much we appreciate that they continue to do business with us time and time again. I deal with business owners all the time. That's my audience, business owners, at almost every level. And I encourage them to do the surveys. Why do you do business with us? And they're so afraid to do it because they're afraid of the response. Why are we doing business with them? Right? Margaret, put that up for bid. Right? You don't think they remember that they're doing business every time they write that check, every time they say yes, every time they see the van pull up? Do we show them the love? And when I say love, what I really mean is love. Do we love our clients? Do we tell them? Do we show them? Do we hug them? How many people hug their clients when they go see them at the schools? I'm not saying everybody's a hugger. I'm a hugger. It's a big ethnic thing. People wonder all the time what I am. They do. They say all the time, and I'll tell a story later on. They're like, what are you exactly? I'm one of those people that I'm uncomfortably ambiguous in my ethnicity. I get the full body cavity search at the airport. Sometimes it's the luckiest I get all week. And they're like, what are you? And I tell people, I say, oh, my family, we're crustacean. And they're like, really? What is it? Yes, we're from Crustacea. Are your customers feeling the love? Just a reminder, I'm not going to dwell on it. It's the old 80-20 rule, right? Like 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients, the best of the best. Are we reminding them? Are we nurturing them? Do we continue to earn their love? Didn't it frustrate you? Remember way back in the day, and some of you are my age or older, back when the bank gave you the toast or whatever for opening the new account. But what do you have for the ongoing customers? Zippo! No, that's only for our new customers. Oh, I see, so you're going to take the regular ones for granted. Just a reminder. That's marketing. Marketing is anything we're doing to remind people why we're a great choice. The four most dangerous words in business are all things being equal. I want you to think about this. All things being equal, everybody's good, right? So when everybody's good, we just shop based on what? Just price, right? Do you want to be the low price leader in your category? Most businesses know. For what you do, I know you're a discount, but if they think everybody's good, then there's no reason to do business with you over somebody else. Are we giving them reasons? Are we reminding them? Are we convincing them? Not just convincing them, are we truly persuading them that we're the ones that they want to do business with on a very regular basis? Not an original line, but one I want to hammer home with you. Marketing is not a department. Most of you, of course, are very small businesses. You wouldn't have a marketing department anyway. But the reminder is that everything we do is marketing. Every conversation we have, every table we set up, poorly or otherwise, is marketing. It's good marketing, it's bad marketing. Because you have the additional challenge of setting up and walking away. Right? It's like the grocery store. You go to the grocery store, nobody sells you anything, do they? Because there's been a shift in the marketplace and has directly affected your business. That shift is from selling to buying. When they come to your events, I don't know the vernacular in your industry, nobody's selling them anything, are they? They're going there to buy things because the sale already happened, and the sale is dependent upon how well you displayed or how many advocates you created internally within the school. You're asking someone else to sell what you have brought. Now, clearly, headquarters has a role in that, of course. The research and the quality products and the support that they provide for you and having stock and shipments, that's their job. Your job is to be, as their partner, we remember who the customer is, right? The customer is the one who buys our stuff. Your job is to make sure that everything you do is helping that end customer want to buy from you. Everything you do, every word that you say is marketing. The question is, are you all on the same page? Let me ask you another thing. Is there a way to share best practices? I'm going to do an exercise with you in a couple of minutes where I want you to be able to share some best practices. And I've talked to the people from headquarters as well, and Rohini and others, that we're going to make available to everyone some of the best that we draw out of you as we do a deep dive. We're going to make it available for everyone else to enhance. We don't say improve because there's the connotation that you're doing something wrong, and I think you aren't. But I think we can always get better. What can we do to enhance the things that we say to be that much more persuasive? Because it comes down to the words. What are the words you're using to describe your business? What are the words you're saying to yourself? What are the words that you're muttering under your breath? What are the words you're saying to your clients and your prospects and your customers? Because words are important. Words have meaning. They can be funny. They can be persuasive. They can be off-putting. Another very true story. Recently, my wife was cooking in the kitchen. Having some, our neighbors were getting ready to move. We were having them over. She sends me to the grocery store. She forgot some items to go pick up some fresh margarine. I'm like, fine. I drive to the grocery store. Men ever go to the grocery store and don't come back with the right thing? Ever happen? No? Yeah. I come back with groceries with the bags filled, and she's emptying them up on the counter, and she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "It's margarine." And she goes, "No, not margarine, marjoram." And I'm like, "What's marjoram?" And she goes, "Oh my God, it's a spice. It's like it's an herb. It's like oregano, but just a little bit sweeter." All right, guys, help me out here. Yes, I'm being very sexist right now. Raise your hand if you have never heard of marjoram. The women are laughing at us. I had never heard of marjoram. And she goes, "I sent you to the grocery store to go pick up fresh marjoram. What'd you do, buy margarine and look at the expiration date?" And I was like, yeah? I am dead serious. So apparently, margarine does not equal marjoram. Are you speaking the language of your customers and your prospects? Here's what I mean. We get immersed in this world every day, don't we? Stock and this and the internal things and within the organization and our benchmarks that we need to reach and everything else. We forget that our customers don't know or care anything about that. We are immersed in this world. They step into it for a brief moment. And they have their own world with their own vernacular, their own verbiage and text and terminology. Are we speaking their language? And what are the words? Are they words of encouragement? Are they words of, what do they care about? Someone asked me, and I had a late flight or whatever, and they asked me, "So did you get in really late last night?" The inclination to say, "Yes, I got in at this time, and I'm exhausted." They don't care about that. They hired me to come here and deliver for you. I said, it doesn't matter. I'm excited about what I'm doing here today. Are you able to leave those things at home? Those bad days, because they don't care. I know you think it makes them, oh, really? Oh, that's all. God, tell me about that. Oh, and on the way over, and I got a flight or a flat, and oh, the price of gas. Can you imagine? We're in business, people. Every one of us, me included. This is our livelihood. How are we showing up? And our language means something to them. Anybody here from Milwaukee? Anybody been through the Milwaukee airport? It's the only airport in America with a recombobulation area. This is dead serious. This is right after you go through TSA. This is where you put your shoes back on. You go through TSA, right? You take off your jacket, you take off your belt, you take off your shoes, you get all discombobulated. Exactly right. This is where you go to get recombobulated. Is that awesome? It is dead serious. Somebody printed a sign. I took a picture of that sign. This was a couple years ago before they clarified that you're not allowed. Now you're allowed to, right? You see the YouTube videos of elderly people and babies getting the pat down. It's ridiculous. This was like 2 years ago. I was in Milwaukee working. I'm not allowed to say who I was working with because sometimes you have to sign a non-disclosure that you're not allowed to say. So let's just say it was a motorcycle company in Milwaukee. And but I'm not going to say because it's not important. And so I take a picture of this, and the TSA guy goes nuts. And he's like, hey, you can't, no, this is a security area. You cannot take a picture here. I'm like, I am sorry. I have never seen it. I just thought that was really funny. And he takes me by the arm. He says, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to go back through security. I was apparently exhibiting suspicious behavior. I'm like, really? And I did. And I took off my jacket and everything. I went through again. Wonder of wonders, I didn't beep. And I've learned that, especially since 9/11. I didn't know what racial profiling was. And because I'm a marketing guy. I live south of Denver. And that's where I get the whole thing. And people are like, what are you? Because I'm uncomfortably ambiguous. And what am I again, right? Crustacean. Exactly right. Like a lobster. Here's our problem in America. We have a plague. We have a plague of blah, blah, blah. And I understand where you're coming from, and I understand, and I honor, and I don't mean to mock. I do mean to mock. Let's mock together, shall we? Every market I go to, doesn't matter what kind of business, doesn't matter what city, there are multiple companies in every city. And I've been doing this for a decade now. Multiple companies, they say at the end of the day, what it really comes down to, it's about the people, isn't it? Our people make the difference. Really? Don't they bear a striking resemblance to your competitors' people? We got to stop pretending it's about the people. Now let me clarify. Be great at what you do. Treat your customers great. If you have staff or people working with them, hire slowly. Motivate them, treat them well, hold them accountable. And you and they will retain your best customers. But touting what a great person you are, or what great people you have working for you, doesn't mean anything, because everybody says it, right? What are the things that we hear time and time again? We get this a lot with like, go back one. Financial services, banks, honesty, integrity, and trust. At First National, we believe, right? What are they touting there, honestly? That they're not going to cheat you. The words really mean something like that? They're just words. That's your big claim to fame. All right, so imagine, you and I were on a date, okay? Follow along. And you look lovely this evening, by the way. I just want you to know at the beginning of the date, I want to be very, very clear that I'm not a cheater, and I'm not going to cheat because I've been cheated on before, and it's very, very painful. I think honesty is important. I think it's important for us at the very beginning of this relationship to be as honest as we can. So I'm not going to cheat, and I want you not to cheat. Can you agree to that? Is this a little creepy? Yeah. What are we talking about? I love this. We get this all the time, right? Our customers come first. Our competitors, their customers come third. Maybe. We get this one a lot. We are passionate about what we do. I see a commercial the other day on CNN. It was Grant Thornton. See what it's like to do business with people who love what they do. I don't know what that means. Someone said to me, well, if you're in the adult film industry, that could... No. That's wrong. So I'm speaking to a big group of financial planners, 1,200 wealth managers and financial planners in Fort Lauderdale, and they're in the round table, so like 8 per table. And it went back as far as you could see. They had screens halfway back, just because they couldn't see. And I'm like, look at everybody. You're all good. You all passed the test. Why you? What makes you a better choice? If you want to be my financial planner, I said, please, God, don't tell me what makes you different is we really listen to our clients. And we tailor our solutions to meet their individual needs. Really? That's what makes you different is you're going to listen to me? We largely ignore our clients, but we impose our solutions, often violently, upon them. It's just dumb. Because haven't we heard all these things? And anybody in food service, you're going to hear this constantly. Right? We use only the freshest ingredients. You're serving me food. Should this not be a given? We use nearly expired ingredients, but we pass the savings on to you. So think about you for your mindset in this business. And I know we're laughing a bit, but this is your business. This is your livelihood. Nobody said, let's go into this business and we'll do okay. Your mindset sets the tone for your conversations. We know when somebody's having a bad day. We know that people are really good at faking it. You don't know if I have the flu. You don't know if I've hurt my knee. I don't have any of those things, by the way. I'm actually feeling pretty good today. But you wouldn't know the difference because this is what I do and because you're paying me to be here and you're giving me the gift of your attention, as are your clients as well. So what's your mindset? There's always this interesting relationship between the business partners of the headquarters and the sales force. Everybody's got the same goal, and we got to remember that. That goal is success. You think anybody at headquarters is saying, let's try something different. Let's give them some crappy products this time. Hard-working people at every level of this organization, from the front line to the ultimate buyers, who are all working as hard as they can to do the best products and to display them the best and to make sure you got inventory in your vans. You're doing the best. They're doing the best. How can we do it together? How can we have a mindset and the language that follows that that facilitates that, right? Are we the ones saying, yeah, we tried that. That didn't work. If we just had better product, if we had better people on the front line, if we had people that really cared, we got to remember and step back. And this isn't me chastising anyone. This is just reminding and encouraging this can be great. You heard from people on the platform yesterday who are rocking this world. There's nothing they're doing you can't. In your way. Some people don't want what they have, some people do, but we're all here for a measure of success. What if we change the language to, what can we do to make this work? Okay, that's different. We haven't done that before. How do we make it work? Because if someone is making it work, then it can work. New products. You may look at something. This is a tendency for everybody in the comfort zone, saying, oh, we tried that, it didn't. There were also people who tried tablet computers who failed miserably, and all of a sudden, why is somebody else successful later on, or what did they learn from that? It's that glass half full. My young son is the most optimistic person in the world. He is my North Star. He is my centering. He wakes up with sunshine pouring out of every orifice of his body in the morning. And it can do nothing but to help me feel that way as well. My 12-year-old daughter, not so much. We're commissioning. Actually, we're going to do a biography. It's a little early. She's only 12. But I already told her that we have the title for her new book about her life. And she's like, what? And I said, the book is called Dad. I don't know how to spell that, but I know she'll come around. This is actually not part of the presentation. This is what I said to her like 2 days ago. So I'm trying it out on you. Apparently I went, note to self. Daughter's thing. What can we do to make this work? Okay, this is our season. I don't know your terminology, okay? How many times a year? You see the new one back there. I'm walking around like a kid. I'm almost 49 years old, and I am 14, maybe 12. My wife would say I'm 12. I love this stuff. Some stuff not so much, but it doesn't matter because I'm not the market. How do we help them this? How do we position things? There are people who think about this. There's people in this room who can who are really good at this. There's people in this room who understand the angel whatever market. There's other people who understand the boy sense, tactile kinds of things. How are they doing it? Are we sharing best practices as you go after this meeting to your regional meetings in those rooms? Let's not let it devolve into bitch sessions. Let's share great ideas. How do you do this? I got a way that I'm doing this that I started doing last year. It's working really well. Share those things. We're going to do some work together that we're going to put on the side and others to share with you as well. It's the mindset, because everything can do. Change is important. Change is inevitable. You get it on a regular basis with the new seasons. It's not a bad thing. Change equals change. Because our customers get new things as well. Are they going to like everything? No, but they don't need to buy everything. They just need to buy a couple of things. And they need to buy a couple of things. And everybody's working hard to make that happen. So the question is, what can you rightfully claim? What time do you want me to be done here? I want to make sure that I'm set on this. I have every watch is on a different time zone. I have 10 o'clock. Is that correct? Is that where we are right now? Somebody shout out in the back, what time do you want me to be done? What? Somebody said 10? Thank you, good night. I'll be in the back signing books. It's the other thing we've learned. 5% of your audience will not like you no matter what you do. I got over that a long time ago. All right, so I didn't get a real answer. 10:30? 10:30, okay, great. All right, so here's the thing is, what can you rightfully claim? When everybody's good, everybody's doing something great, what can you claim that we're the best at? We're the best choice for something. We're the only company that offers blank, whatever that is, right? So I want to do an exercise. Does everybody have a notepad or something else? We need a blank sheet of paper. How about this? If you don't have one, raise your hand and somebody else pass one down the line. An exercise we got a couple of minutes for right now, but it's something I'm going to encourage you, and as you go to your regional meetings as well, to discuss this a little bit. The idea is that you walk back with something tangible. All right. Okay, everybody come back. Here's something I want you to think about as we think about the words, how we describe what we do. All right. I think about most people in business. Many of them have been in business for years, if not decades, honing their craft. And in so many businesses, many of them have spent millions, if not tens of millions of dollars to build their infrastructure, to build their manufacturing. But most people in business have spent minutes crafting the words they use to describe what they do. Writing their websites, their promotional material. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose today. What if we spent more than a few minutes? What if we did a deep dive? What if you went back to your homes or your offices or while you're driving in your car and thinking, how can we say that in a more profound way so it doesn't sound trite, but sounds truly persuasive? What are things that we can claim that would make somebody, make us impossible to ignore? That if we came up with a list of 10 statements, that if our prospects knew and believed and remembered those 10 things to be true, they would feel stupid not doing business with us because we were so convincing. So what I want to do is I want you to spend a couple of minutes. We're just do a couple of minutes, and then I invite you to do this back at your office as well. I want to do a top 10 list. Top 10 persuasive, conversational things you would say verbally to someone else. I don't need slogans. We do blank and blank, so you can blank and blank. No, it's, we're the only ones who successfully, we're the largest company working with schools who's been able to do X and Y. We're the only ones who are not focused on this, but focused on the people who truly make the difference and touch the children. And I'm going to be careful how I say that. No, I'm not even trying to be funny. I mean, nowadays you got to be real careful of the verbiage. So you find the words that work well for you that doesn't make them think of something else or something inappropriate. It's too easy to go there, and it's fun to joke here, but it's not a joke when we're dealing with our customers. We want them to think that just feel so pleased and happy to do business with us because they don't have to. So I'm going to give you a few examples of the kinds of things that you can say. You can talk about, and you're welcome to, first of all, make this slide available, but if you want to stand up and just take a picture of it with your smartphone or something else, you're welcome to do that as well, right? We're the only ones to do blank and blank. We've created or developed a process kind of unique in the system and kind of fun. If we're going to call ourselves Books Are Fun, let me ask you a question. Are you fun? Is it fun to work with you? Yeah. For some it is and for some it isn't. You got different personalities, but I would think there should be one of our goals. We're one of the vendors that's actually fun to work with. They have a lot of people showing up with deliveries and FedEx and food for their cafeterias and people working hard every day. We're doing something a little bit different. Are we different in how we do it? Are we memorable? Are we remarkable and worthy of being remarked about? What are the kinds of things that you can say? Are you able to name drop a little bit of some other clients you work with that would make your prospects think, well, why aren't we working with them? If they're doing right, no better endorsement than other people. We'll talk social media for in a few minutes as well, but let me jump ahead. Do you have those endorsement quotes from your clients or letters of recommendation? Do you have them written down or do you have them on video? Right? That's where everything's going, YouTube and everything else. I've seen clients do this brilliantly. Do most of you have your own websites? I don't know enough. I apologize. Hands if you have your own website. Okay. Is it most of them just part of the Books Are Fun system that they can go there? Is there anybody who has no website? Okay, good. But it's all part of that system. Okay. Anybody still have a pager? Sorry, that's another question. I was going to say, if you do, 1987 just called and they want it back. Sorry. So how are we, those kinds of endorsement quotes, and people are happy to do this, get that stuff on video. Get a little flip video camera or something, and have somebody in front of them saying, these guys are a dream. Now, I've been to the Books Are Fun website, and you guys have a lot of those great endorsement things. Do you have some from your people in your market, which are that much more meaningful, that you can use yourself? Right? These guys were awesome. They're here on a regular basis. Our people can't wait till they come because there's always something cool and new. That much more persuasive and engaging because someone is saying it. So here's what you do with this exercise. We don't have time to do this much right now, but I'm going to invite you to go back and do this yourself. Come up with 10 great things. Then here's where it gets a little bit difficult. I want you to pare it down to the best 5. And if there's things that you boast that you do to make it really meaningful, put it in context. In other words, remind me that your competitors don't. We come into school, we do blank and blank. No one else works that way. Right? Everybody else, well, we do this and this. Everybody else is selling at retail. So for your customers, what's the point? Yeah, it'd be nice to do this and it's good for the school. They can go on Amazon and get it probably cheaper. We work a little bit differently. When you talk about your size or how long you've been in business, remind them that others haven't. And I don't know what the exact numbers are. We've been doing this for over 30 years. We've watched competitors come and go. So-and-so gone, so-and-so merged, so-and-so bought out. If it's true, if it's applicable, everything you say has to be true. But make it really persuasive. So you take that final list of 10. Try and weed out the ones that you know that competitors say about themselves. Or maybe it means something to you, but it doesn't mean something to your clients. It's got to mean something to them. Pare it down to the top 5. The 5 best things. Share those amongst yourselves and your markets. You choose what 5 works best for you. Type it up, laminate it, and stick it to every phone in your office. And the rule is nobody gets off the phone until you've said 3 of those 5 things. Every time, every conversation, we begin to educate the marketplace. I hear people all the time, yeah, our reputation speaks for itself, right? Stupid, lazy. You speak for yourself. Nobody's a more passionate advocate than you can be. As we tell them again and again, what makes us great? We just weave that stuff into conversation, but we do it every time. It's like, in your market, you may have this in Denver. We have a jewelry store called the Shane Company. Anybody have the Shane Company, your friends in the diamond business, some markets? In Denver, it's just off Arapahoe Road on Emporia Street, 1/2 mile east of I-25. Open every night, Monday through Friday till 8, Saturday and Sunday till 5. I've never been there, but I know where they are and I know when they're open. So ingrained in my brain. Do you have those commercials where you just can sing them over and over again? There's a reason for that. They want it to be quick recall and you know every time, right? What's the commercial for Empire Carpets? 1-888-2300 Empire Today. Whenever I travel, we hear this everywhere, right? I know their phone number. I've never bought from them, but it's top of mind. We can play on that same thing. We say the same words every time that we know are the most persuasive. We don't do it different. I mean, we do it, certainly we tailor it. But let's find those things that are really, really effective. All right, so number one on the list, what are you doing that makes you remarkable, that's unexpected? You can be unexpectedly friendly and super efficient and have displays like they've never seen. There's really cool things going on in this organization. I talked to a few people, and some very unique things. It doesn't have to be unique. Spread the love. Most of you are unique to your marketplace, right? We are friendly competitors. We're all on the same team. From the front line to headquarters as well, all on the same team. Number two, what are you doing to tell your story? A story that's meaningful, that makes them feel more connected to you. The reality is, remember who the customer is. And are we telling a story that means something to them? And by the way, the customer is not you. The customer are the people who buy what we have. You are the partner there, however you use the vernacular internal. I've worked with a lot of multi-level, I'm not going to say, it's not MLM, multi-level organizations with the independent contractors and the corporate, and there's always some level of consternation. And you know why? I'm going to give you the real reason why that exists. Because it matters. Because this is your livelihood. This is their livelihood. If we reframe it in our mind that we just want everybody to be better and to be as good as we can be, and to work together as great as we can move forward together to say, let's make sure that we've got something the marketplace wants on a regular basis. What's everybody's role? Because from headquarters, their role is to give you guys the best product, but they can't go and sell it for you. They can't set it up for you. They can't build those relationships. Everybody's got a job. Who is that end user? What do they want? What are they looking for? What do they read? Where do they recreate and congregate and dine and connect and collect? And are you where they are? And are you saying what they want to hear? So here's a quick little thing. We're not going to talk about how to create a marketing plan. There isn't time for all of that. In my book, I talk about a lot of easy things. And I'm not trying to sell it. I'll be in the back signing stuff, but I'm not selling from the platform. I'm saying seek out easy ideas. It's not about writing big, long plans. For some people that works, for some it doesn't. Some it's you want to sit on the John and just open up to any page and get a great idea, or next to your bedstand or something else. That's what I like to provide. And that's what I've done in my book, is I give a lot more than what I can do right here. But here's a great exercise once a month. Pick a date, the first Tuesday of every month. Mondays are horrible. Just put 1 hour on the calendar and schedule it a year in advance. This meeting will happen. You and your spouse and a partner, or just you, and sit down for 1 hour and come up with a big, long list of all your audiences. 20 years ago, we could talk about the general public. There's no such thing as the general public. You have a lot of different audiences. You have the person who buys your products. You have the person who allows you to be in the facility to buy your products, right? You've got people who are in your association. You've got colleagues here who you love and trust and have gone to war with and back. Are you reconnecting with them on a regular basis to not only fill your tank? That's what I did over the last 4 days, the National Speakers Association. There are not office buildings full of professional speakers. Not a lot of people get me. I live here. I love what I do. 99% of the time that I'm not on stage, I'm by myself. Kind of the cruel irony. So to get together with people who know you and understand your business, share those best practices. Once a month, pick an hour. Grab a piece of paper, pick 2 of those audiences this month. This audience, I'm going to ask 2 questions as we continue our outreach, as we remind people who we are and what we do, and we reconnect with those sometimes we take for granted. Question number 1, what do we want them to know this month? Question number 2, sometimes we forget to ask, is what do we want them to do? Information to spur action. We're not just one-way communication. That's the Murphy, write a press release. Let's get it out there. there, wherever there is. What do we want them to do, and what do we want them to know, and what do we want them to do? When we just tell them things, but we're not looking for an action. My old boss used to say, when you do that, it's like peeing in your pants. It'll give you a really warm feeling for a minute, but it's not going to do you much good in the long run. Maybe it's just you want them to come out and see the new product line. Maybe it's somebody you just want to take for coffee. Maybe you're doing an open house. Maybe you want the local paper to do a nice little feature story on this really cool independent business that you can take and repurpose and show everybody else as a great third-party endorsement, raise your visibility. Every month, what do we want them to know? What do we want them to do? And the tactics come out of that. And make sure you're saying enough things. I'll tell you really quickly, I worked with a guy in this big group. I did a lot of CEO groups, and this guy had a collection agency. He says, you know, my most important audience is prospective employees. I can't get anybody to work for me. Nobody wants to work for a collection agency. And I said, what do you want them to know? He said, I want them to know that I have jobs. Okay, what do you want them to do? I want them to apply. Not working. What else do you want them to know? He said, what do you mean? I said, what else do they need to know to get them to do what you want them to do? I said, tell me more about the business. He says, it's a great place to work. I said, so? And he says, all right, I got ping pong tables and foosball tables. Great. Good. What else? I give 2 full weeks of vacation a year paid. Great. What else? On and on. He said, I take them to, my whole staff, there's like 19 of them, to my place in Scottsdale every January for a week. I pay for everything. We do team building stuff. That's awesome. And he gets through this whole long list, and I said, all right, look in the audience. If you were just getting out of college, would you apply for that job? And all the hands go up. Are we telling them enough? Are we sort of used to, as we do this, and I know if I say this, they'll say yes and get it. It's fine. I think we're here to be more than fine. Once a month, pick a couple of audiences. What do we want them to know? What do we want them to do? All right, the final thing in the last 15 minutes I have here. What are you doing to be visible? More the essence of what you think about when you think about marketing. What are you doing to get yourself out there, to keep yourself visible and present? We forget very, very quickly. You're going to forget about me 20 minutes after I get off stage. Hopefully you remember a funny story or a point, or you'll have something in your notebook. We have to remind people on a very regular basis. We have to take ourselves from the back of their mind and put it to the front of their mind. That's why we do newsletters or e-zines, right? They're not thinking, they're immersed in their own world. And you want them to think about you not just when the van pulls up to the school. Oh, that's right, it's supposed to be today. Are you helping them market you internally? Is there a sense of anticipation that you're coming, and what do they have this time, and are they new? Your biggest competitor is not your competitors. Your biggest competitor besides apathy is anonymity. If they don't know who you are, they're not going to buy what you have. If they don't remember who you are, not just you're the one who shows up with the van, be memorable. Be present. Do you ever talk to your current prospects when you're not there? Do you ever talk to them in between just to check in? Do you know all their birthdays? Do you show up at their school events? Would they be shocked to see you at a school basketball game or school assembly in your shirt? And they say, are you here today? No, I just wanted to come and celebrate with you. Just some thought. It's not right for everybody. What are you known for? What kind of mind share? Are you top of mind for them that they wouldn't even consider not being there? Whoops. What are things you're doing? I have no idea what that is. What are you doing to letter P? I don't know what that means. I just thought I'd find a way to incorporate that. Because P stands for prosperity and promise. And this is me faking it here, because I have a big P on the screen. Think of your prospects. Where do they go? As I said, where do they recreate and congregate and dine and connect and collect? And those who are your prospects, I mean, P is for prospect. Did that work? With emphasis? Are you in their clubs? Are they seeing you outside of this? When they say, oh, hi, and say, oh, you're the Books Are Fun. Sorry, I didn't recognize you out of context, right? That present in the community. You're not just there when you need them, but you're there otherwise as well. All right, who has a social media strategy? Who's using social media to some extent to build their business? Hand up. Overwhelming, isn't it? All right, how many people are successfully using social media to build their business. God, do I have one hand? There's one half hand. I will not chastise you, I promise you, but I will encourage you. This is not just kids. This is not just fad. It is another way. It is not in lieu of, it is not instead of the other marketing you do. This is not an or, this is an and. You do this also. And don't shake your heads, I'm seeing it already. I want to give you some ideas because it's fun. There's some fun things that you can do to make yourself visible, to make yourself likable. I said before, and I believe it very strongly, life is like high school. People do business with people they like and people they know. I believe social media is to help people know you so they like you better. I'm not one of those people that, I don't follow Ashton Kutcher or whatever on Twitter or anything, but I got a Facebook page. On my business page, I have 140 people that follow me or whatever. On my personal Facebook page, I have almost 4,000 friends. And by friends, I mean people I don't know. Exactly right. But I will tell you, my friends, they're people who feel they know me. Every conference I go to, and I do some very large conferences, somebody comes up to me at that conference, every one of them, and a lot of them this last weekend. And I'm talking to somebody, and they walk up and they say, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I know you guys are talking, but I knew you were going to be here because I saw it on Facebook, and I just wanted you to know that I follow you, and it's like I feel like I know you, and that thing you said about your daughter was like, oh my gosh, like the sweetest thing ever. But anyway, I think you're hilarious, and I love. And anyway, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just think you're really funny. And I'm like, thank you so much, because I'm very strategic about the things that I post. When I put something business related, the worst thing people do with social media is try and sell stuff. I mean, we're bombarded everywhere. Guys, we cannot stand in front of the urinal without somebody selling, right, limo service or bail bonds or, all right, I'm at the wrong places, clearly. Everything, right? We're bombarded. Don't be that person. But when I put something business related, you can hear crickets chirping. This eerie silence. Nobody cares. But I picture my son holding up his trophy that's 3 feet taller than him in football. They go nuts. Or my daughter singing in her school production of Oklahoma, singing I'm Just a Girl Who Can't Say No. They love it. Now she gets older. I want her to be able to say no very clearly. And we're working on that. Very important. I put something the other day. My oldest daughter's going to college 4 weeks from yesterday. And she's going to study film production. And she was a co-valedictorian at a really big school. She's phenomenal. So I put something on Facebook. It said, I am holding a film festival, the 15 greatest movies Sierra has never seen before she goes to college film festival. Tell me your best ones. It lit up. Within 6 hours, I had over 100 posts of people saying, oh, Shawshank Redemption, oh, The Color Purple, Fried Green Tomatoes. Really? Just for some people, a lot of chick flicks. And then the guys, oh, Stripes and Caddyshack. And not exactly Citizen Kane. But the point I'm making is they were so engaged. And then they follow and they want to know what's going on. Listen, I don't put everything. I can be a complete SOB like all of you can. I don't put that on my site. Somebody tries to start some political fight or, I just delete that stuff off of there. Because it's my page. I want to show myself. I want people to go there and click on my video. The point is, social media is a great way to start conversations. What was your favorite children's book? Right? You're going to get all those, Where the Wild Things Are and all of the stuff that people are putting on there, and they're engaged and they get to know you better and they're going to do business with you. Trust me. If you struggle with this, go on Craigslist and hire some propeller head to set this stuff up for you. I found a kid on Craigslist, honest to God. I put a listing looking for very smart teenager. And I didn't want somebody charging me $80 an hour. This guy responded, honest to God. He says, I will charge you $10 an hour plus burritos. And I will do this. And of course, he was, for me, impossible to ignore. I had to respond. And he said straight out, I'm in high school. I don't need to make much money. I'm really, really good at this, and I like burritos. So I met him at Chipotle. I gave him my laptop, and we're talking 20 minutes. He turns it around, slides it back to me. In 20 minutes, I had a YouTube channel. I post all my little videos. I just do it, one button, and it uploads. I have a Facebook fan page. I had a blog set up. 20 minutes. And since then, I have not paid him a penny because I didn't need to. I just click on it. I said, I'm smart. I don't want to know how to log. I want to click. And he set it all up. Our kids are smarter than us at this stuff. Dip your toe in the water. You could set a standard in this organization with so little usage right now. It's not going away. There's almost 1 billion people on Facebook. I know it's so easy to say, I don't need it. It's an and. It's not an or. Add something else. Twitter I don't do as much just because I'm not brief enough to do it in 140 characters. LinkedIn. Who's on LinkedIn? All right, listen, LinkedIn. All right, now hands down. How many people use LinkedIn? Much smaller amount. A lot of people are on it. LinkedIn is not Facebook for business people. It's just a search tool. Finding the people you want to meet through the people you know. It's a great place to be. You do an advanced search. Excuse me. And the real opportunity is YouTube. There is, they said, I heard a statistic yesterday. I was in a session. 70 hours worth of video are uploaded every minute. 70 hours worth of material, content is uploaded every minute on YouTube. It has transformed my business everywhere I go. That story I told about the cab and the cab driver who was kind of a jerk, I recorded a video at the airport last night. And I just put a little camera there and I put it on the counter over at United, one of the gates that was empty. And I just stood there, hi, DavidAvrin, the visibility coach. You know, are you taking your customers for granted? So yesterday I'm leaving and I tell a little story, and at the very end, you know, I just in the camera, DavidAvrin, the visibility coach, reminding you, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And I take that and I pop it in and I upload it to YouTube. And people watch it and they follow and they learn more about me. Are you findable if people are looking for some kind of perk for their staff or some kind of fundraiser or whatever? I know you guys are a little bit different there. Are you findable? 70% of all online content within the next year is going to be video. Take those endorsement quotes, the people who like you and love to work with you. Say, can I get you on video saying those really nice things you just said to me? You know what they say? They say yes, all the time. Sometimes they go, oh, God, what I'm wearing today, but no, don't worry about it. You don't need a professional camera crew. Go to Best Buy and buy something for $60. It's remarkable what it can do for your visibility. My goal was to launch my book really quickly through social media. My goal was to be the #1 marketing book for an hour on Amazon.com. That's the trick we play. If we can get everybody to buy the same hour, we go to #1, and then we capture that screenshot. Nobody can ever do it. #1, Amazon bestseller. There I am, right above guerrilla marketing. How cool is that? Because I sent it out, my friends sent it to other people, and it just spread and spread. Remember those old commercials? And they'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends. And it works that way. And of course, the next hour, of course, it was still #1. And the next hour, it was still #1. And the next day, and I'm stunned. And everybody's, you got to buy this. It's the greatest book in the world. They had never read it. It just came out the day before. But it was remarkable as sort of an investigation. For a week, I had the #1 marketing book on Amazon.com. I didn't sell 100,000 copies. I sold a couple of thousand. I didn't make any money. Went to my publisher. But it was a remarkable experiment for social media and what it can do. All right, in the few minutes that I have left, here's the other thing. How visible are you? We're looking at just other ways to be visible. Are you writing articles in your hometown newspaper, small business publications? What's happening with funding? What's happening with almost anything? Can you be more visible? Just a thought. It's a great way to leave a tangible trail of wisdom. It's wonderful if they do a story about you. Call your local paper or your local business journal. It's a really cool, independent model, offers you the freedom and all those things. That's an interesting story to tell. But the way to really control the content is you write that story. Maybe you, it may not. But here's the key. You got to be a little bit opinionated. Information is a dime a dozen. What's not working? Spout off about it. Don't offend too many people. But you get that little italicized paragraph. So-and-so is the local president of Books Are Fun, and you can see them in doing this. It's a great way to be out there. Here's the other thing. Do you have, and this is, I am going to harp on you, more so even than social media. Do you have a newsletter? Do you have somebody who goes out to your clients and your prospects on a regular basis and say, here's what's new. Here's what's new with Books Are Fun. Here's a fun peach cobbler recipe. Here's this, right? Not only, first of all, does anybody not get enough newsletters or e-zines? Anybody not get enough? Right? We're bombarded by that stuff in our email. Send out something. I send out ones that are fun. If you have a business card or something, give me your card. I won't spam you, but I'll send you good tips. I'll send you funny stuff and heartwarming stories. Are you worthy of being remarked about? Are you present? Are they thinking about you on a regular basis, not just when you need something from them? Just ways to communicate on a regular basis. Here's the other thing, and this is just my own personal crusade. Is there a book in you? About your life experiences, right? I've had great pleasure of doing, I had a little sappy dad book that I wrote a few years ago called The Gift in Every Day, Little Lessons on Living a Big Life. I did 86 TV and radio interviews around the country. I'm an expert, by the way, on fatherhood, on parenting, on life balance, because I wrote a book. I'm a sappy guy. I'm in 3 different Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Honestly, you would never look. My wife's former husband tells me, she says, you are the gayest straight man I have ever met in my life. So should I not have gone there? You'll notice the emphasis on straight guy I've ever met. So just want to be clear on all that. But writing things down, I love this quote. It's an old African proverb. When an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. My kids will never wonder what Daddy believed, what Daddy thought was important, because I wrote it down. Whether it's journaling, whether it's writing an article, whether it's writing a love letter to your kids, find a way to publish it. If you have an interest or ever had an interest, I know you guys do books, and you're in books, you understand the value and the power of it, but if you're ever interested in self-publishing, you've had something burning inside you, send me an email. I won't charge you a thing. I'll tell you how I did it. I've done self-publishing, I've done regular ones, but that's just my own personal crusade. All right, so how do you do it as I wrap up here? How do you build that memorable, marketable brand? How do you be known as the person, be known for the things you want to be, not just the person who comes and delivers the books and sets up the table? To make yourself memorable, to make yourself remarkable, which means you're worthy of being remarked about. Maybe it's your persona, maybe it's your style, maybe it's some funny thing you wear. It's not about being ridiculous, it's about being memorable for the right reasons. How are you crafting your story on a regular basis? Reach out to those people who you depend upon for your livelihood. Reach out to them in a positive way, in a way that keeps you top of mind for them. The referrals come in that way. The last thing you want to do is to be forgettable, to be anonymous, to be forgotten. And the last thing, of course, is to be very, very visible. Whether it's the networking events, whether it's the leads groups, whether it's the school events that you aren't involved in. They will see you as altruistic. They will see you as part of their family. There's enough criticism for the teachers who don't show up at those events. How refreshing would it be, and how fun, as a father of kids at every age level right now, to be back at those events. The final note, your execution has to be exquisite. Every time. I cannot take a day off up here, because you will know. You cannot take a day off in how you set up that table, how you arrive in your spirit, in your connection with them. Regardless of what's happening in our lives, we are there serving them. We cannot take that day off. Be the best you can be every time, because of course you've heard it before, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. All right, I'm out of time. I'm going to stick around afterwards, later on after your session with your regional groups. I'll be out there signing books. Fun book, a lot of great ideas if you're interested. I'm happy to do it. All right, one final story and I'm all done. This is my daughter, Sydney, the one we're going to write the book. This is a couple years ago. Is she the cutest thing? She's my little angel. Yeah, well, she's the second oldest. I'm a second oldest. Who's the second oldest in their family right now? Say hands. We are a pain in the butt, aren't we? Find our place now. Let me tell you a very quick story and I'm all done. Sydney went to preschool at the big church near our house just south of Denver in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. And because I work out of my house, like most of you do as well, I get to have breakfast with my kids, and I'm taking Sydney to school. She went to preschool in the afternoon session. So she went from noon to 3 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. So I'm driving her to school, one of these mega churches for preschool. We pull into the church parking lot noon on a Tuesday, unexpectedly jam-packed with cars. There is nowhere to park. We're driving up and down the aisles. I'm like, what's going on? There's limousines in the circle drive. People milling about in dark suits, speaking in hushed tones. Sydney unbuckles from the back seat. She's like, Daddy, are they having church today on a Tuesday? And I said, no, sweetheart, I think it's a funeral. And Sydney says, what's a funeral? I'm like, honey, a funeral is for when somebody dies. And all the people that know them and love them, they gather together at their church or at their synagogue, and they take turns going up on stage. And they kind of talk to everybody. And they talk about how much they love them and how much they're going to miss them. And what a really, really special and wonderful person that they were in their heart. Now, Sydney looks very confused. And she looks at me and she's like, and then they kill them? No. No, sweetheart, this is for people who have already died, not a human sacrifice. She's like, oh, very relieved. She kisses me on the cheek and she scampers off to class. And I sat in the parking lot and I was laughing. I sat there for 10 minutes. I'm thinking this is going to be a great story on stage. I mean, of course she doesn't know what a funeral is. How does she know what a funeral is until she knows what a funeral is? And I would ask you that about your business. How do they know? Not that just you're capable and qualified and punctual and that you're a good choice for their employees, but how do they know that you're a better choice, that you're a gotta have, not just a maybe have, until you sort of do that deep dive and you recognize why people buy and how do we nurture and continue to foster those relationships. How do we take the hard work of headquarters and take those opportunities and say, here's my challenge. What do I do with this one? What do I do with this one? How do we maximize this relationship and that relationship? Because that's marketing, that's branding. What are you known for and how do we show up on a very regular basis? Listen, I know you guys have a long day. It is what a great pleasure and a treat for me to come and speak for you and get your attention this morning. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you about lunchtime. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Give me that.